Yes, yes. It's so amazing how, we all come together through different associations, and one person opens up the portal for another one to get in. And we just don't know how what we hold inside of us, once it's released, becomes a key to open a door for someone else. So that's why I'm all about sharing. I'm all about authenticity. I'm all about, you know, transparency. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And, I always say to people, or I have said to people, that this whole pandemic has been an opportunity. I don't see it as a punishment. I haven't seen it as a punishment. I guess it works different for everybody, but for me, whereas I could have a total different story, I have this one, which is a very positive one and a very optimistic one, and it's enabled me to be sitting here and offering support in the way in which it has afforded me, because I haven't been at work. So I give God the glory for speaking to me. And I guess not only that, it's about being obedient to his word, because this is all about obedience. And there has been a lot of healing that has taken places from the two platforms that I host. So I'm just giving him the glory, and I'm just going to keep going and going and going, one foot in front of the other. I spoke about these steps that we take, but the steps that we take are really the decisions that we make in terms of direction. And it's important that we understand everything has a root as to why it's appeared in our life. And it's not just what we see presenting itself in our face. It's the root cause that we need to look at, which is the primary source of where we will be going. But we're going to speak more when I unveil some more. Hey, Jem, I can't hear you, darling. Dr. Patricia, you okay there?
Yes, I'm fine.
All right, okay. So we'll just wait for the platform to warm up a little bit, and then we'll just go straight in to the juicy stuff.
Or I'll finish my cigarette.
I really wish
I wanted to put it on my page, but I can't.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm recording. So I guess once it's done, I send it to you, and then you just upload it on your page.
Okay.
If it's not happening, you know why? Because remember, we was trying the test run with everything last night, and you said about the emails not coming through to you. So I can't understand why they've left my email, and I don't understand why they haven't arrived at yours. But hey, we're here, and we're just going to go ahead with the plan of action.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for having me.
No,
hello, beautiful ladies.
Hey.
What's that, Stan?
That's me. Hello. I love your piece that you did there. You know, I've been meaning to do that. I actually have a trunk load of images, pictures, that I've been trying to do a collage, particularly of my brother who passed away, which was a domestic violence case, actually.
Oh.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can get into that later.
We can. As I said to you earlier on, we're going to do a platform dedicated, but there's going to be an opportunity somewhere for that whole thing to come up, because a lot of soul ties, a lot of DV is attached to these soul ties, these toxic relationships. So anyway, without further ado, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to spend your time with myself, and I appreciate that. So you know. Hi, Pastor Loy. You can't hear me.
Hi,
Yeah.
Di. Good.
Good. So, what do we know about today? Well, joining us today, all the way from Georgia, is the lovely Dr. Patricia Shaw. Do you want to give us a wave there, Dr. Patricia? Excellent. She is a soul ties coach. She's also a expert relationship coach, helping women overcome deeply rooted beliefs that sabotage their relationship. Am I right to say, is it only women, but you do men too, couples?
Absolutely.
I do consultations with couples, yes.
Okay. But she will tell you more about her worth during the course of the platform. Okay, so some housekeeping rules. I welcome all first timers. There's a lot of first timers on the platform. And I just want to say thank you for being here for the first time. I'm curious to know how you found your way here, but we'll find that out later. If you're not familiar with Zoom, there is a chat and you can put anything in that chat within reason. Questions that you want to ask and information of yourself that I'd like, if possible, an email so I can keep you in the loop before, you know, everybody gets to hear what's happening next. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. It is Millionaire, as in H-E-I-R, Diana Lewis. There's all the recordings of shows you'll find there. You'll find the Saturday platform as well, my Giver of Dominion Bible study, which is a very wholesome Bible study that has been executed a la carte style. So if you're into fine dining, you'll know exactly what you're in for, as well as all of these Wednesday shows. So though we approach each platform, I say I, because normally I have my two co-hosts, but they will be joining me next week. So though I approach each platform with the utmost level of respect for our viewers, for this I am mindful that there may be topics discussed that are sensitive and personal to you. However, I welcome your opinions and would appreciate if you could refrain from any hostile comments as I endeavor to maintain an holistic platform to openly discuss freely and from a place of authentic maturity. If I please you, do tell others, and if I don't, please tell me. So before I go any further, can someone just give me the thumbs up to let me know that I'm not coming across static or it's inconsistent or what? Cool, yeah?
Perfect. Good. Everything's good.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so today, episode 15, Soul Tied to Soul Ties. Joining me is Dr. Patricia Shaw, who you're going to hear from later on. So have your questions at the ready. Now, I don't know what you know about soul ties, so I'm just going to share a little bit to put clarity to those who have no understanding of it. So I don't know how many are familiar with what's going on right now in the Smiths household. So I'm just going to use that as a little open salvo, should I say, to highlight how there's a great distinction between the two of entanglement and what we're talking about today. It's really messy, and I've read a lot of information. I've seen people's responses, and there's been some very, very comical responses that people have used to explain whether it's a yeah right Jada or a yeah right Will. Yeah, so we'll see as we go along. So anyway, are you happy with everyone, everything, and everybody? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to mute at this minute because I don't want no background noise to kind of like interfere with
Let me get my tea.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so are you happy with everyone, everything, everybody in your life presently? is there anyone, anything, or anybody that just the very thought of them can make your heart beat 10 times faster, but not in a happy or positive way, or can make you begin to tremble like what I had happened to me this morning by a sibling of mine? Honestly, as I speak it, I had to stop and recognize that this and that in truth is a soul tie. Yeah. And I'm so tired of it. Maybe others are too. We'll see. So what is a soul tie, and what do we mean by it? You know, I'm going to open up because I'd like someone to give me their example and of what they think a soul tie is. So if anyone wants to just share quickly what they think a soul tie is, I'm happy to hear. You can unmute yourself. Yeah?
I see.
Go, Star.
I think that a soul tie, you know, is when two people are connected, as biblically said, with the soul, the spirit, and the flesh. And that has a lot to do with people that have, you know, monogamous relationships. They don't realize that when they share the body, they share the flesh. So you have to become one in covenant and many things when you're soul tied. You're covenant not only spiritually, but you're in covenant sexually, and you're also in covenant financially. But more importantly, I believe that the soul tie connects the soul to two people. Two people are connected soulfully, you know, in all those ways. But in a nutshell, it's when you become one in covenant.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Star. Anybody else would like to give an example? No?
Thank you.
I think
Okay.
we're soul tied to friends and family as well as in intimate relationships, aren't we?
I'm not going to answer you. I want you to give me what you think you feel.
Well, I believe.
Soul
I
tie.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you both for your examples of what you feel a soul tie is. And you're probably right. I got a really dry cough. 1 minute. Okay. So, a soul tie can be both male, female. You know, it can be you attached to a business, finance, as Star said, sexual. A soul tie is something that is an attachment to something that your soul and your I wouldn't say spiritually, I would say soul. Yeah, but we won't get into that for the minute. And it's you're attached in ways that are constantly enabling this whatever or whoever it is access that really should be denied. And you need to get over to my YouTube and watch my episode 12 called Access Denied, because that really kind of, you know, opens it up a bit more. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Soul tied or soul tired, because it does drain you. Yeah. And when you're so tied to something, you're just not sure of this thing. Like, you can't work out why you're so tied to this thing, right? So let's look at entanglement. Entanglement is a complicated or compromising relationship or situation. Yeah. So some of what Star had said, she mentioned that, and this is I say the politically correct term for soul tie is entanglement. All right. So there's also in quantum physics, it's like a physical phenomenon of a pair or group that shares spatial proximity. Yeah. So both independent upon facts, whether it's a marriage, a business, sex, or a friendship. Yeah. And when it comes to the sharing of space, we're talking about, as Gemini said, it can be family. Yeah. It can be your own children. It can be an item that you have in your household that was attached to something from the past, or you understand me? That when you look at it, it triggers an emotion, and it ain't a good emotion. Yeah, number one. So let's talk at symptoms of soul ties. A soul tie attachment is renting space in your head. Yeah, that's one of the symptoms. Another one is dreaming about a life with them or it. Yeah, and also imagining hearing their voice, or memories being sparked off by this thing or that person. Yeah. Some people, if not all, get confused with soul ties and soul mates. Now, I'm sure you've all heard the expression soulmate. Yeah.
That's what I thought you were referring to, soulmate.
Ah, well, that's what I'm saying. So we're going to get more into understanding that the two are not the same. So a soul tie is an entanglement of something that you just cannot put your finger on. It has been described or said that it primarily results from engaging in sexual relationships with people not sent from God, if there's any believers here, or God has not chosen for your life. Included in these sexual encounters, there's a thing called transference of spirits. Yeah. So let's look at it like this. Let's look at two married couples, for instance, and we're looking at affairs involved in this marriage. So there ain't no men on the platform as yet, I hope, so I'm going to use men. So the man's gone off, he's got a mistress, they're having sexual relationships. There's been a transference of spirits with all of the emotions and the intimacy, which you've heard me speak about before. We don't know the state of mind that this woman is in, because all she's doing is she is fulfilling a desire for him. Yeah. But she has got her own gunk going on with her. So they've had this encounter, this transference of spirit takes place. He comes back to his wife, and he brings with him, when they get intertwined or entangled in their intimacy, and he deposits all of Madam's stuff. Yeah. So this is where this transference of spirits comes from. So it's like, let's bring it close to home. We got the pandemic. We have to have this 2 meter distance thing, because if not, it can jump from one to the other, basically. Yeah. So this is what we're talking about with what a transference of spirit is all about. And Dr. Patricia's going to speak about that later on as well. So a soul tie is created from an intense attraction to someone for reasons such as, we've given examples, sexual, it could be characteristics or personality. Yeah. A soul tie keeps one in bondage after a relationship. It keeps one in bondage after a relationship has ended, making the tie even more strong when it ends against your will or their will. So I speak for myself, and if it resonates, then you can obviously say yay or nay. So you get into a relationship and it doesn't go well. You are going along your merry way thinking that this relationship is great, or your marriage is great, or even you're involved in a business sense of the word. You're tied to this business because you've invested time, money, emotions. You know, it's an investment. So you've deposited so much of yourself into this thing, you're attached. all of a sudden, the person walks away from you, or the business comes to this abrupt, you know, it no longer is working out, and it's gone on, or it's happened without warning. So you haven't had time to really allow yourself to get familiar with this change in circumstances. So your attachment is like a routine. Yeah. You become so routined into this person, this behavior, and the business we're just using as an example. It's like without any warning, you're now being told this relationship is ended or this business has to shut down. How does that leave you feeling? So this is where the soul tie gets really kind of messy. It's like hell have no fury like a woman scorned. That's what I mean when I say in terms of the tie. It's like a stronghold. Yeah, it's bondage. It becomes bondage. So, sorry?
Woman and man, because men can be scornful as well as women.
Absolutely. That's why I said that hell have no fury like a woman and a man scorned, because I want to make sure that this soul tie is not a respecter of persons. You understand me?
Especially a Jamaican man.
Hey now, girl.
Amen.
Hey, don't listen.
High five.
Especially a Jamaican man, they hold on to an evil grudge that I can't even explain.
We're not going to get personal now with these Jamaican men's, right?
It's not personal. It's not personal. It's been my personal experience, as well as women that I have coached and guided through domestic violence and marital separations, that I know firsthand, and it's not being racist or discriminatory. It has a lot to do with the culture. Their culture. A Jamaican man scorned, you don't want that.
No. Well, you know what? Whether or not it's a Jamaican man, a Mexican man, Irish man, a person becomes scornful when they have not been taught the actual strategies of dealing with pain and hurt and rejection, because that's what it is. Because rejection is a dangerous, toxic thing to hold onto, and you almost adapt this mentality of payback. Yeah.
Well, hurting people hurt people.
Well, exactly, Star, exactly. Okay, right. So, how's everybody? Just give me a high five, a clap, something. Just let me know if you're all with me on this and understanding of the depth of where we're going with this. Right. So, this is where the bondage, entanglement, deception, even narcissism, among others, is formed. It's so deep rooted that you can only pray your way out of it, my friend. All right. So we spoke about the soul ties. I want to just let you know about the soul mates that can be confusing at times. The difference between a soul tie, as we know, a soul tie is someone who soul tie is, it can be someone or a thing that you do not get excited about being around or seeing or even thinking about it. Yeah. With a soulmate, there's a connection, there's a balance, there's something juicy about a soulmate that makes you look forward to this person being in your sphere of influence. Yeah. So with a soulmate, let's be clear, it's beneficial to both parties. They create balance and neither of you feel robbed of the other. You do not have to pray to remove a soulmate from out of your life. Distance will make you grow fonder, as opposed to you celebrating the further away the better, which is what you would think about this issue that you're so tied to, because all it does is constantly bring you to a place you don't want to be. You understand me? Whereas a soulmate, whereas you'll be praying for one to be so far away, you'll be praying for a soulmate to come into your sphere of influence. You want it in close proximity. That's the difference between soul tie and a soulmate. Yeah. So
what about when you start off as soulmates and then it transfers to soul ties? Because you can't have one without the other, because there's a beginning and end.
Let me just explain about the soul tie and the soulmate. The soul tie, they are two different. The soulmate, you can never ever get it twisted with a soul tie, because with a soul tie, you always see a red flag and you ignore it. If you're being honest to yourself and authentic to yourself, you always see a red flag and you ignore it.
I agree.
Yeah, because your soul tie comes from inside of you. That same navigation of the spirit that jumps up in you, and you try to push it back down and pretend it can just give you some signal. Yeah, that's what the difference is with a soul tie. A soulmate gives you butterflies all the time. There's never a question about their existence or the thing or whatever it is. You see the difference with what I've come to know about life now? We always know when something is right for us. We always know. We have a thing called free will. You understand me?
Amen.
And we always know. And what we choose to do is ignore.
Yeah.
And we need to take ownership of that ignorance that we have. All right?
Hoping, praying you could change the situation or change the person. They'll change. No, but like you said, we have something called free will. And my experience is, which you probably don't even know about, Donna, it's very distinct. And it's very all those things you mentioned about carrying another woman, carrying the other person's soul with you when they go out of the soulful relationship. I was married to a very, very high profile reggae entertainer. And, I spent 15 years of my life hoping that there would be a change. I even divorced this man and remarried him again.
Wow.
But he was so scornful and so vengeful that even when I remarried him the second time and put everything behind me to go forward, because when you truly forgive someone, you forget the past. My mother said to me, how could you possibly go back with this man? And I said, Mom, let me think about that. And I thought about it. And the reason, and the only reason why I was able to go back was because I truly forgave. Because when you forgive, you forget.
Amen.
That's what you tell yourself.
No. That's not what I tell myself. That is written. That is biblically written. Because imagine if God held all of the mistakes and the things that we've done against us, then he's not a forgiving God. So I'm not saying that to say that it made me feel better with that synopsis. It's given fact. I mean, that's been my experience. That's what allowed me to go back. But what does the Bible also say? Don't look back, because you'll turn into a pill of salt.
But
I had the free will.
Right.
I had to choose.
That just sums up what I meant when I talk about this forgiveness. You understand me? And forgetting. You never, I'm gonna speak for myself, and I'm gonna speak when I hear women and men speak about forgiving but never forgetting. So you're always mindful, and it's in the back of your mind somewhere, you know, that there's a reason why you're back here again. You're not going to negate from the facts. The facts never disappear. We elude ourselves into believing. That's not to do with God and forgiveness. You just said it about the looking back, and there's so many scriptures that are bouncing off of me right now that I could say why when we do this world system thing and we like to, you know, forget what God's word is, because we're so caught up in the rapture of lust and this happy honeymoon period and all of the stuff that makes us believe, wow, they've changed. They've changed. They've changed. They've changed. We've all been there. I've been there so many times. They've named the street after me. But we'll talk about that. Right. So thank you for that very much, Star, and respect you all the time for that. So I'm going to just move on to trauma bonding. And what does trauma bonding mean?
Say that again.
Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding.
Okay, in American, it's trauma bonding. Okay, so trauma bonding. There's you know, Patrick Carnes developed the term to describe the misuse of fear, excitement, sexual feelings, sexual physiology to entangle another person. So this is what trauma bonding is. It's what it's like. It's so narcissistic, and again, this is for another platform. It's all like, you know, the love bombing and the gaslighting behaviors, yeah, that come within that. So it's a strong emotional attachment between an abused person and his or her abuser, formed as a result of entanglement and soul tie. So let me just pause for a moment, because I'm gonna hand over to Dr. Patricia Shaw. But before I hand over to her, with the August and the Jada thing, when you hear this man speak about the pain that he received from being rejection, because this is where we talk about the soul tie ending without you knowing it's coming to an end.
Well, and I don't even know that this is the Jada story. I don't even.
Oh man. Okay, so you know what? Let's leave it out. Let's leave it out. The whole point of this whole trauma bonding and this soul tie and the entanglement is when, imagine yesterday you're lying beside the love of your life. You guys are talking about making a future together and planning and planning and planning. And less than 24 hours later, this man no longer, or this woman decides they don't want to be with you no more. They don't give you, you understand me? They haven't given you an explanation. They haven't told you, even apologized. It just had a total transformation of where you were lying together in a bed, building a future, to being told, or no longer seeing that person again. They've just gone. Those kind of attachments are the most dangerous and damaging of a person that you could encounter when you're tied to this thing or person. Yeah, the bondage after relationship that has allegedly ended abruptly is where the person who is left in that position has to deal with this trauma bonding of so much pain and heartache. But I'm going to hand over to Dr. Patricia. Dr. Patricia?
Yes.
Hey, my darling, I'm going to, you know, hand over to you. She's our expert soul ties coach, who is going to talk about the term trauma bonding and share with you an all-inspiring, you know, and I use the term from what she said, and we've talked about her own life experience from helpless to hopeful. It's like a victory dance. So here to share, please welcome the lovely Dr. Patricia Shaw.
Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are in this world. I thank God for being here, and thank you, Diana, for the invitation. As Diana stated, I do coach single women and married women and couples as well. So many single women come to me because, as she started the segment out about an attachment, and normally these attachments are ungodly attachments. So I'm going to read the introduction from my book, Soul Ties, Unchain My Heart. And it says, no matter how many times Eric breaks her heart, Teresa can't seem to shake him. He was her first love, and his love is all she knows. She doesn't want to let it go, no matter how much it hurts, until she meets a stranger and he forever changes her world. Can she let go of the past that haunts her for the love that is waiting? Can she let go after finally meeting Mr. Right? Can she break loose of the chain with Eric that has held her love captive? Can she truthfully say no to the past and yes to the future? Only time will tell. So I want to ask a question to the ladies and the gentlemen here today. Have you ever been with somebody that didn't treat you right, but for some reason you found yourself going back time and time again? No matter what they said, you kept going back. Well, that's what we're here to talk about today, the soul tie. And as Diana has already alluded, there is a difference between a soul tie and a soul mate. A soul tie is an unhealthy, toxic relationship. A soulmate, when you meet your soulmate, you are in a healthy place, they are in a healthy place. Soul tie connections are usually formed physically first. Somebody already raised their hand.
She's clapping. She's clapping, Dr. Shaw.
Oh, okay. Yes, soul ties are usually formed physically. In my book, I talk about my own personal story of how I met this young man. We were both young, and he attracted me, and I attracted to him physically. It was a physical attraction. And we know that we've been hearing for, I don't know about you, but I'm gonna make it personal and say, I know that most men are physical. They like what they see, what the eyes see. And so the connection I formed with this young man was physical, and then it became emotional. After the physical part, we came together in sex. We were not married, and so we formed this physical soul tie. After the physical connection, we formed an emotional connection. After the emotional connection, it was the mental connection. So what is different between a soul tie and a soul mate? A soul mate, they are healthy physically, they're healthy financially, they're healthy emotionally, and they are healthy mentally. And most times when you meet your soulmate, you two are really vibing on the same wavelength. You're connecting mentally, even before you connect physically. You connected emotionally well before you connected physically. You connected in the right ways. Now, soul ties. It's so much that I can say about soul ties. I ended up, how did I get here? That's how I start the book. How did I get here? And why can't I shake this man? The reason I became connected physically with this young man was because there was a void in Patricia. I was lacking something. And if we are honest with ourselves, and most of the time, that's the thing that tricks us when we end up getting in these toxic relationships. We are not honest with where we are. I had low self-esteem. And so he spoke to something in me that no one had ever spoken to me about. So he knew how to lift up my self-esteem. Oh, you're so sexy, you're beautiful, you're this and you're that. So because no one else, or should I say the right people, meaning mother and father, had not planted those seeds in my head, then I allowed this man, this good-looking man who I attracted to physically, to speak to me. But he was not speaking life, he was speaking death, because that's what soul ties do. They lead you down a path of death, where a soulmate, when you meet the person that is designed for your life, they will add value to your life and not subtract from your life. That's
Amen.
what soul ties do. They subtract from your life, and they get so draining. That's why I could not shake this man, no matter how many times he cheated on me, no matter how many times he lied to me, all of the things that he did. And I saw, I believe it was Natalie that said, it seemed like a soul tie connection is negative. Yes, they are negative. There is no way that a soulmate relationship will end like a soul tie, because they're different. Soulmate relationships form in a healthy way. When we connect with people in a soul tie way, there's a void. There's something missing in us. And I say we try to tell ourselves that I'm healthy, I'm healed, but really you cannot compare yourself with yourself. But most of the times that's what we do. We compare ourselves with ourselves. And so we go from, a lot of times people go from one relationship to the next without getting the healing that they need. So how do you know when you are healed from a toxic relationship? Because instead of doing the same repeating behaviors, your behavior begins to change. So I knew I was healed from my toxic relationship I was in, because I no longer believed that I needed to have sex with men to prove my worth. I no longer needed to do whatever they wanted me to do. I no longer needed to be who they needed me to be. That's how I knew I was healed and delivered from that toxic relationship, because I was calling the shots. I was not letting him dictate anything. So, soul ties, they are unhealthy. Soul ties, emotionally, he's always on my mind. Mentally, we've broken up, but I can't even work. I can't think. There's so much going on. That's how you know you are involved in a toxic relationship. In healthy relationships, as Diana said, I believe, with Jada and this young man, the person just does not abruptly end the relationship. Yes, marriages do fail, but there are signs that lead up to failed marriages. A lot of times we miss the signs, but they are there. So when we talk about soul tie relationships, we are talking about toxic, obsessive relationships. And whereas soulmates, both people are in a healthy place mentally, physically, emotionally. They're healthy and even financially. So soul ties lead to death. Soul mates lead to life. What else can I say?
Wow, you well, I just want to read some of the comments, Dr. Shaw. Janet has wrote, I think with soulmates, there's a meeting of the minds. With soul ties, your driver is lust, and we are working in the meantime. I think soul ties are meantime relationships, and I definitely agree with that. People are just saying, wow, deep. And it really is, you know, it begs one to really check out themselves, the people that they're with, the friendships, relationships, situationships, because that's a new word now that's come about. Being with someone, what is the root cause of why you and this person are connected? What agenda is there for you and this person? Are you with them for what purpose? Because until you know your purpose, you won't know the direction you're really going with this person. Yeah. And you will settle. I always say, if you don't stand for something, you will settle for anything. And that means all the BS that comes with it, all the red flags that you've seen from the very beginning, you will ignore them. And you will keep putting one foot in front of the other, believing that, oh, it's nothing, it will come to pass. It's just for today. Maybe this, we find excuses. We find excuses. Now, I know, Dr. Shaw, that you've got a poem that you've written as well. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, but before you give us your poem, and I always like to use examples, you know, about my marriage, and you know, for those who are new to the platform, I have a great relationship with my husband. We're still married, but we're separated. But I remember before I was able to walk away entirely, I kept questioning, why do I keep going back? Why am I going back? Why am I going back? Why am I going back? When I eventually made that move, I knew to myself that I had severed my emotional ties, and it felt different this time, in a deep, deep, deep way. You just know how you know is, it's like whatever it is that you are facing in your life, whatever situation that you come up against, there's always that day or that time when you encounter the straw that breaks the camel's back, when you are done. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's on the platform, Brew, and we used the term, you know, there's nothing more powerful than a made up mind. When your mind is made up, there ain't a devil in hell that can come and get you to do anything other than what you know you are no longer going to be doing ever again. You're not going to give it a second, a minute, an hour, a day. Because as I'm saying this, that's what I used to tell myself when I walked out of my marriage. You are not getting another minute of my time, because I invested so much. Yeah. So I use this as an example because it's so clear to me, and this is why I love the understanding of soul ties, because I looked at how many times did I keep going back, and I found all these excuses as to why I kept going back. But I didn't know that I was tied by this soul that made me keep thinking about him, I kept hearing his voice. I kept having all these memories that were flooding me of what used to be, and maybe it could be again. And that was where I remember having a relationship. Star, that's how I know David, because David was who I had a relationship when I was living in America, and he kept saying, yeah.
Are you?
And you know, he kept saying to me, or he said to me, "You're still in love with him." And I was adamant, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not." But someone else can see what you can't see. You understand me?
I didn't
And
even know you lived in America before.
huh?
I didn't even know you lived in America.
Right. Yeah. So the understanding of this, and I speak for everybody on this platform. I mean, I always say you have to be honest with yourself in your life, and this is why I love doing what I'm doing, because I'm just so detached from any of whatever it is that once used to hold me in bondage. I have got nothing to lose anymore. You understand me? With my life, with my thoughts, with my everything, because I am totally free. When you are soul tied, you are not free. You are in bondage. There is a stronghold that claims you. You cannot go. You think you're entering in all of these relationships, and they're looking for deep, deep down inside of you. There is something that is reminding you of all of that attachment to. It don't even have to be the one before this one. It could be all a host of relationships, a host of behaviors that you have assigned yourself to, that flag up in your life. Until you can sever yourself from these attachments, because that's what they are. Your soul is attached. It's like when you're a smoker, yeah, and you want to give up smoking. You get into a habit of the hand to mouth, yeah, and that's what, when I used to teach people, how I used to be a smoking cessation advisor, and one thing I tried to get them to do was to change their whole course of action, what would make them want to pick up a cigarette, because it's a routine. Everything we do is a behavior, a learned behavior that over time becomes consistent. It's like going to work at 9 to 5. You set your alarm at whatever time, you get up, you have a wash, you have your breakfast, you get ready. It's consistent. You do it day in, day out, day in, day out. That's what being so tied to this very thing becomes. It's an attachment. And just as you learn it, you have to unlearn it. So I just want to read this comment that has been spoken. When Janet has written, "When a woman's fed up, ain't nothing you can do about it." Sean has written, "My thought is we often either focus on the wrong things at the beginning of the relationship, or don't have any criteria for what we are looking for what is a good fit. I also believe we often fail to recognize the person in front of us. So when it breaks down, we don't take ownership of our failure to see we have chosen someone not suitable for us, just some thoughts." And that is so true, Sean. Really, really true. You know, depending on where we are in ourselves at the time when we enter into these relationships, friendships, situationships. And I don't want to have a dig at relationships, because there are friendships that are like that. There's sibling family members that you have those soul ties to. Like I said this morning, I got a message very early this morning, and I was trying to focus on completing the contents of today's show. The minute I saw that person's name come up in my phone, I knew something in my spirit told me it's not a good message. Don't read it just yet. I said, okay, I'm not going to read it yet. I want to continue finishing the contents. When I did read it, as I opened it up and read what it said to me, I started to shake. And it just messed with the early part of my morning. And as I was writing about soul ties, that's why I could write some of the contents before completion, because I knew that that is what my soul is still attached to, that kind of bondage with my siblings. So the $1 million question is, how do you detach from things that you know will never go away? Like, for instance, you're married, you've got children with this person, and you know that as long as these children are of the age where they're going to want to see the absent mother or the absent father, that person is going to remain as a figure in your life and obviously raise up ugly emotions. So I don't know if you want to speak on that, Dr. Shaw. Do you want me to continue on that, answering that kind of a concern for people who are in those situations?
Well, you could go ahead with and finish, and then I'll come back. I'll jump in.
Okay. So when it comes to those type of difficult situations, we have, like, there's an area about healing that comes into the forum with those type of situations that we know they're not just going to go away anytime soon, even though, hold on, I can hear some background noise. Sorry. Yeah. So we're looking at boundaries. So we have to create boundaries. We have to put them in place. Yeah. Because if we don't have boundaries, what's going to happen is, if we accommodate, we're going to tolerate, and then we're going to have to entertain it. Yeah. So we have to have boundaries with these people. So when it comes to parents with young children of ages where they want to see, or there's things put in place where the dad is involved, you don't have to be a part of that handing over. You can do it through mediation, or you can get a relative or someone that will be there to act on your behalf. Because the less you see of that thing or that person, although most of it is up here, but we can still work on what we can control. Yeah, because that is important. The running away from it isn't going to make it go away. But if we address it, it helps us, because then we start addressing our fears. And once we can put those fears to bed, then we can move on to the bigger picture of knowing we're taking back the control, because it's about control as well. Yeah. So we're looking at, what I did was I wrote down every name of a person who I had been in a relationship with, which ain't much, relatives who I felt made me feel uncomfortable in their presence, and behaviors that I had, like attitude, like how do I feel when a red letter drops through? Hold up, someone's there that needs to be muted. Yeah, how do I feel about those things? So I wrote down a list of names, behaviors, situations that were associated to me. And I asked myself, honestly, how do you feel about all these things? So that was what I did to begin with. Yeah. Then I had to recognize again, how does this thing, play a part in my life? Is it something that has to be there all the time? Is it something that, again, I can sever it? I don't have to deal with it. You can love it from a distance. Yeah. So that was another thing. You have to recognize your behaviors, but you must acknowledge it, and you must take action, because it's not going to go away. Number one. Yeah. and you know, giving yourself time to see the difference in your behavior patterns. You know, you no longer see them as a threat. That's very important. So I don't want to make out like, you know, my husband is a monster, but he's the only example that I can use at this moment because of it's the most current thing in my life. So I knew that I knew I knew I had severed my emotional ties. So that gave me the opportunity to work on myself. Yeah. Fortunately for me, my children were older. I only had my youngest one who was still under my jurisdiction, but she wanted to see her father, and I weren't stopping that. That's something I don't do, and I don't really dig my parents that do that unless it's safety situations. But that was something that was going to happen. She wanted to see her dad. So it took for probably, I'd say, 18, 19, 3.5 years before I would allow my husband in the same space as me. So by that time, I most definitely had worked on myself and addressed all the things that I felt were associated to the triggers. And then I was able to welcome him into my space. Yeah. So the healing of it is about having courage to acknowledge all these things, people, situations, recognize them, and take action. Yeah. So that's where the therapy comes into it. I would suggest if there's anyone on this platform now and it's resonating with you and you recognize some of what has been exchanged between myself and Dr. Shaw, you know, well at the end we'll give you some intervention as well, because we both have coaching platforms that you can join. What else do I have to say? I think in terms of that situation, I hope I've kind of cleared up any concern that any people on here have that are going through those situations where there's a separation, but yet this person uses the children as a scapegoat to continue to make calls or show up at your house, at your job, or get friends involved and family members, because that's what they do. Because by now, they know everything about you. You understand me? They know at 9 o'clock if you're going to stay up, and you know, they know everything about you. So they know how to target you. So you've got to change your whole way of living. And it may sound like, how am I going to do that? But it's something that needs to be done, because it no longer puts them at bay. It will keep them at bay, and it will also allow you that time to heal, because you need to heal, because it's so detrimental to your mental state of mind that you heal from this toxic behavior that has had you in a stronghold for so long. But you must recognize it. And I hope that people, if you hadn't noticed it before, that something has triggered with you today that has made you question where you are. Okay? Where you are. Check out where you are with whoever you are with. And if something isn't sitting right with you, be honest to yourself and recognize it first and foremost, taking ownership. Yeah. So before I hand it back to you, Dr. Shaw, again, we've got some messages in here. So we have a lot going on here. Star, it is my experience with myself and so many other women and men I have coached. It's not about just making up your mind. It is also about your worth, your inner feeling about you. Imagine Queen Elizabeth is just that, a queen. This is not just a mental observation of the queen. It is the embedment of your mind, self-worth. When you learn to love you, nothing and no one can have an effect on you. Exactly. My sentiments, exactly. Sean has also said, do you think sometimes soul ties are afraid of their You haven't finished that, Sean, if you could. I don't understand the ending of that. Do you think sometimes soul ties are afraid of
Sorry.
their
Go to the next one. Go to the next one.
okay, do you think
Jumping.
sometimes we are afraid of being lonely, so we hold on to what it is a bad option for us? Yeah, most of the time loneliness is something that, again, but loneliness is not of the next person, it's loneliness of self. Why are we so afraid of being on our own? Because we need to recognize what triggers our loneliness. Do you understand me? Because you could be in a relationship with someone and still be lonely with them being there. They don't talk to you, they don't acknowledge you. You understand me? So we need to understand where, if it is loneliness, why am I lonely?
I
Again,
didn't even think of that being lonely in the relationship. I didn't even think of that, to be honest with you.
yeah. You got to those. That's what I'm saying about the whole recognizing of the things that are, because they're called triggers. We need to identify these triggers. What is triggering this emotion, this behavior, this situation, the patterns? Because everything has a pathology behind it. Yeah. Stephanie has said, I have learned to detach. Entanglement and soul ties are uncomfortable and unhealthy and toxic. Very much so, Steph. Again, Stephanie, so by creating a healthy relationship with myself, my thoughts and feelings, learning to be kind to self, myself, loving myself, always going back to self. That is important. Janet has said, Janet Miller, because we have another one here, agree. Self-loneliness, yes, you can be lonely in the relationship, 100%. I can assure you, most often than not, that the loneliness is coming from not having a conversation with somebody that is sitting right beside you. And this goes on day in, day out. But this is why we have to recognize the things that are going on around us. We need to be understanding of our immediate circle and not get used to it. Don't make it become normal. Because then when it becomes normal, you're so drenched in it that you're blinded. Yeah? So, again, one more and then I'll hand it back. Loneliness, this is from Star. Loneliness in a relationship, that does not even sound humanistic. No such thing, in my opinion. Believe me, Star, I'm telling you, loneliness in a relationship is very real. It really, really is. Yeah.
I think that's on an individual basis and your faith.
Well, yeah, but
it's on an individual basis, because when you truly love you, you'll never be lonely. I've been separated and divorced from my husband legally for 8 years, and physically for 12 years. And throughout those 12 years, I have had so much time to me that people look at me, they're like, there's no way you're single. Yeah, I am single. I'm very single. And over that time, like you said, it was a healing process. I've learned to heal myself and adopt that to others, because I truly believe that whatever we go through, in the bad sense, it's not about us. It's about sharing that with someone else to save somebody else. And it's not just in a relationship form.
Yeah, but
so it's my opinion, loneliness, greater is he that lives in thee. And when you truly believe that and you embrace that, if he's in you, if he's, people talk a lot about the gospel and God this and God that, but the word is not just a word. The word is something that's embedded in you. It's
alive. It's alive. But there are there are people who are non-believers. Now before,
right.
Yeah. So people have to find some mediation. They have to have an outlet that they can escape to, that is going to allow them or enable them to at least overcome those pangs that are presenting themselves. Now,
you said the magic word is lacking the word and believing in God, because you have people that they just don't believe in God. So
that's the problem. But I'm not going to say that's a problem, because before I never not believed in God, but I used to practice Buddhism for 15 years. I knew I needed something other than this you know, in this present moment, and I'm talking back then, I needed something to take my mind off of what it was that was taking up so much of my thinking that wasn't healthy. So we have to find something. It's so easy. We know now that I would say I'm drenched in the word, and God, I can't believe I left it so long. But that is where you are. There are people that are there and don't even know who Jesus is, and it's trying to get them to get to that place of knowing there's something, there's a way out of all of this pain. You don't have to be in pain. Until they get there, other things have to be put in place. There has to be alternatives. There is only one way, but there are things before people get to that place, because there's so many indoctrines of cultures. You understand me? Cultural situations can dictate the direction lives go in when there's a soul tie involved. We, you know, we just never know. We hope to God, we really do, that he is the way, the truth, and the light for everybody. But we know it ain't always the case. Hence why we have so much domestic violence deaths, so much suicides, because people in that immediate moment when they need that way out, or that lifeline, is so far away. That's the reality. It's so far away. You've been a victim of domestic violence. I've had my sister murdered. Many people have been victims. People have domestic violence. There's physical, there's emotional, there's sexual, there's neglect. There's so many different avenues of how people are being robbed of their peace and don't know. Sometimes you don't even know you're in it because you've accepted that this is your norm. But I don't want to change the trajectory of where we are. That's how deep this is. It's like an open wound for many who are probably sitting on here and probably getting healed from the exchange of experiences and knowledge and wisdom. So I'm all for it. And I love that greater is he that is in me. That I know now where I sit, you can't touch me on greater is he that is in me. I know that, baby. Believe me.
Well, I only have a few minutes left because I never expected this to extend over an hour.
Oh, right.
So,
I didn't even realize. That's why I
yeah,
said
we're already 3:15 my time in New York.
Yeah.
And you know, I just wanna say that to everybody listening, you know, when I first got called to speak regarding my horrific experience, it was at a very large hospital in New York that's connected. They have a domestic violence unit, and my story was so horrific that it captured, because I truly believe that the greatest teacher is someone that has experienced it. You can't teach me what you don't know. And you know, you capture the audience by your experience because they can relate to that particular situation. So when I was first offered the opportunity to speak and give my story, I was told, this is what you need to stay away from, and this is what you're allowed to say. And I said, well, then you might as well not ask me to speak, because I was told that I was not allowed to tell these survivors of all classes, grades, genres, corporate, poor, come from all ethnic groups, that it is their fault. No, it is not their fault, but it is their choice. It is their will. If you choose to stay where you are, you will be where you are. It's all about choice. So at that point, the director had to say to herself, well, am I going to take a chance and let this lady, because there was a possibility that I could just ruin her funding, because if these people don't become so codependent on this sponsorship to get a message or to get whatever they were providing, then, you know, she's not getting funded by the state, and that would just flee them away. But the truth of the matter is, based on my experience and the experience of thousands of women, even the woman that I had not too long ago who was shot 9 times and survived that, it's all about you. You, wherever you are today, is as a result of the choice that you made. You know, if you want to feel sorry for yourself, you know, the stages of that, and that's okay. But there has to become a time where you take control of your life. no matter what is said to you, no matter how many pastors you hear, no matter how many coaches you listen to. I mean, yes, it's inspiring and it can lead you to a direction that would allow you to create a better path. But that powerful message that you introduced in the beginning of your platform, it's called free will.
Amen.
So, I'm not going to sit here and tell somebody what they want to hear. It is my opinion based on experience, based on facts, that you are wherever you are as a result of the choice that you make. And once you've experienced this detrimental, good relationship, bad relationship, a different relationship, there's going to come a point in time in your life where you're going to have to make that change. And the change is only going to begin when you decide, Joyce Meyer always said, the power of the mind.
Absolutely.
Change that mind. So, sometimes I can be somewhat aggressive, but it's real talk. I don't have time for the, malarkey. You are your own coach.
Absolutely.
You get inspiration from others.
Absolutely.
Okay? And a coach is anyone that has experienced the detrimental experiences in their life. It doesn't require a PhD. Some of the most successful coaches that I know don't have a PhD.
No.
They don't have a doctorate. It's called
life. It's called life. It's life.
So it is unfortunate that I must end because I have to go.
Only for today, but you're coming back. You're coming back. You're coming back.
Oh, sure. I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yes, you are.
So I just want to thank everybody for listening, and thank you for having me on this very important topic. But on a closing note, I'm living proof, survivor of cancer, throughout my domestic violence. I've been through so much that you have to set it in your mind that you will defeat the situation.
Hallelujah. Absolutely, Star. And I just want to say thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that because I know when I spoke to you yesterday, you was at the hospital, but you came today and you have fed us. I am full. Well, halfway. I can't be full yet because I need to have my dessert from Dr. Patricia. But on that note, thank you for sharing.
Thank you, everyone.
Take it easy and you'll be coming back. We'll speak.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Have a blessed day, everyone. Stay encouraged.
God bless. Bye-bye. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Wow. Dr. Angela, are you still with us? Dr. Patricia, are you still here? Yes.
Yes, I'm still here.
I just want to say that, I never know where it goes on these platforms. I never know. But one thing I do know is people, they become so in tuned to where it is. It's like when Bob Marley says, one thing about sweet reggae music, when it hits you, you feel no way. The truth will set you free.
Yes.
The truth, no matter where you are, will set you free. So I'm thankful for Star's input as well as Dr. Patricia's input. I know you got a snippet from your poem that you'd like to say, but I'm going to say this part and then because you've also got a powerful scripture as well that will go with exactly what we're talking about. So I'm just going to say, you've heard it all, a whole lot of snippets about the infamous soul tie that comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And do not think that it steals and kills and destroys all at once. It can steal you of your peace for many years, and that can come in the form of staying someplace where you are not valued or appreciated. For example, toxic relationships, dead-end jobs, etc. A soul tie can kill the very dream that you have been working hard to achieve. They may make you feel so undervalued in yourself, as we've said about self-love and everything else. by looking at circumstances. So you may look at your circumstances and feel unworthy. You may look at your circumstances and think because you're in so much debt, you can't do anything. And because it has attached you to believing that you need, in order to have that, you must have this, in order to be there, you can't be here, and so on and so forth. It may have been, you may have been working hard to achieve, and it may make you feel that, you know, mentally indebted. And that's what she was talking about. And this is what we talk about all the time. Where the mind goes, the body follows. It's written in scripture. Yeah. So if your mind ain't in the right place, nothing else is going to be. Your environment is going to be topsy-turvy, upside down, the whole nine. Yeah. You know, mentally indebted, you could be unforgiving to something or someone. You could have low self-esteem, unable to move into a new relationship because of whatever it is. That's the destroying part of it. Never being able to move forward in life. Something eats you up inside and you feel sunken to the part of depletion. If you do not or are unable to deal with those soul ties, as she said, you unfortunately will not be able to move on or move forward or even be happy, because you will spend your whole life staying connected to what was and no longer is, you know, living in an illusion, a fantasy. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Patricia Shaw, who is going to, she's got a snippet of a poem, and I'm mindful of the time, but she also has a powerful scripture to go with it. And you know, we're big on scriptures on this platform. So Dr. Patricia, let me hand over to you. Has anybody got, you know, there's a load of thank yous in the chat, and I'm thankful for the thank yous. And Elizabeth has said, loneliness in a relationship is very real. It is very real. Stephanie has said, if you do as you've always done, you will get what you've always got. And that is so true. It's so true. So Dr. Patricia, let me hand over to you.
Okay. Yes, I was going to read the poem a little bit, but I feel as though we've shifted, and I want to go with the shift. I would like to see the hands of those who believe that they have a calling in life, a purpose, a calling. Will you drop a yes or no? Yes, yes, and I see thumbs up. Yes, thank you. So to those who believe you have a calling in life, and believe it or not, we all have a calling, a purpose in life. What happens with soul tie relationships, those come, the enemy comes to throw us off track at an early age. The reason I believe I got involved in this toxic soul tie relationship because the enemy knew the calling that God had on my life. Now, I like to tell women that because we have a destined purpose, there is someone designed for us to walk through life with. So the young man that I got connected to at an early age, 1 Corinthians 1, and you can look at it in your leisure, but 1 Corinthians 6:16 says, what? Know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body? So in a soul tie relationship, when you physically connect with the other person, you are becoming one flesh. I began acting like this young man's wife. I began cooking for him because he had his own apartment. I began cleaning for him. I became his wife because we were joined physically, but we were not married. Now, I heard Diana say, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge. And that is exactly what I had to do. I had to face the fear of what was going on the inside. Why could I not shake this man even though he was no good for me? And see, the other thing was, I had no idea what I desired in a marriage, what I wanted. See, the person I was with, he was who I wanted, but he was not who God knew I needed. I did not need him. I just wanted him. And so when I learned how to face the fear of what was going on within myself, then I started working on me. And as Diana and the other young lady said, it is based on our choices. Sometimes we see things, which I did. I saw a toxic marriage between my mother and my stepfather. I saw that. So I became a circumstance of my surrounding. But I did not allow that to be my final destination. See, when I said earlier that a lot of times we compare ourselves with ourselves, and we think that we've overcome this person, but I had not overcome him. And so I had to really reach out to somebody who I believed could help me. And I did. I went to a married lady. She had been married for 25 years. I shared with her what was going on with me and this young man, and she began helping me to identify the things that were going on inside me. And like I said, it was low self-esteem. One thing about our purposed partner, the person that I believe God has designed for us. See, relationships, they can make us or they can break us. They can make us better or they can make us bitter. A good relationship has purpose. My husband was designed for me. We are purpose partners. So when I met him, there was no longer this need of him filling this void, because that had already been taken care of. I learned how to speak to myself. I learned how to build myself up. I learned how to not keep repeating behaviors, as Diana said. I learned how to make better choices. So, connecting with somebody you are not married to. I know in today's society, they call it cohabitating. And it sounds so good. People tell me, well, we're going to live together because we need to get to know each other. But do you know, statistics says that there, and I have it in my book, I don't know the number offhand, but there are a high percentage of couples who live together and they later on get married, and within the first 5 years of their marriage, they're divorced. Covenant is God's way. Convenience is the enemy's way. He wants you to be in a convenient relationship. Soul time, unchain my heart. The only way my heart was unchained from this man, emotionally, mentally, and physically, I had to stop and cut off the physical contact. I allowed him to call me at any time he wanted sex. And here I go, dropping everything to meet his need. But my needs were not being met. So I first stopped the physical contact. And then it was emotional. No, you cannot play tricks with my mind. No longer. And because he was not able to play tricks with my mind, then that physical need for him became weaker and weaker. So the mind game stopped. The mental game stopped. All because I learned who I was. and that is a godly woman of faith. So I changed my behavior. And when I changed my behavior, my purpose partner, my husband, came along. It was a few years later. I learned to identify what I wanted in a spouse and the type of marriage that I desired and deserved. And we've been married for 31 years. There are no outside children. So I went from being a soul tie to a whatever I say, but yes, I was in a soul tie toxic relationship, and now I'm in a godly relationship. And the enemy was trying to destroy me at an early age because he knew what God had planned for my life. So we all have a purpose. And if you desire marriage, there is someone who is designed for you. I could go on and on, but I'm going to turn it back into the hands of Diana. We can't hear you.
Sorry. I just want to say, Dr. Shaw, that the animation that just came across, it definitely speaks volumes of the way you were to where you are. That is evidence of wholesome, balanced, organic, soulmate material, and definitely your Boaz,
Yes.
as it were known.
And can I say something, Diana? I don't know if you all have seen this, but in America they say thot, T-H-O-T, that hoe over there. And see, what a lot of people don't know, Rahab was a hoe, that hoe over there. Patricia was a hoe, that hoe over there, but no longer because I learned my worth. And when I learned my worth, I stopped with those behaviors. And when I really learned to love myself from the inside out, my husband, the person who was designed for my life, came along. So you can be, had been thought and end up queen.
You see what I mean about this platform? It's well, I'm lost for words, Dr. Shaw, and I've just learned that T-H-O-T. I always used to see it pop up. Now I know. Are there any more holes on the platform that want to reveal themselves? Don't be ashamed. We're all about transparency here. Anyway, let's leave it. We're coming from biblical. They were there, and God still worked on them and transformed them into the most God's leading ladies. You know, if we keep forgetting who we serve and what went on in biblical times, all it is in this time is just change of interpretation, and it's what happened then is happening now. Understand me? It's just got a different terminology. All right. So let's not forget kingdom principles, although we're talking about earthly or the world system. And that is why it's so important that I do bring scripture into it, because I cannot leave out that big man upstairs. But so much has been exchanged today, as we had, you know, Star, who is an advocate for domestic violence. We've had the breakdown of soul ties and soul mates and what the world calls in the being politically correct, as we know, entanglement. And they all lead to the same root cause of being in a place where we shouldn't be, and which is not healthy for us, neither mentally, emotionally, physically, even financially. So with where we are now, if there's anyone who honestly feels that they are in that place, you know, this is a safe place, and for people to be open and speak about, and there needs to be more places for people so they know that they're not alone. All right. And I always feel that because I'm hosting, if I can't be honest, then there's no point in me doing this. And I'm in that place of being totally severed from emotional ties. Like I said, I always speak about my husband because he's the first person that I can use in all my examples, because he and I have had many years of experience, good, bad, up, down, left, right, indifferent, you name it. And but this is a safe place, and you can go to work through your trauma and release yourself through therapy intervention. Dr. Shaw has got a load of great stuff that she can do with you. Myself, I have one-to-one, a 12-hour coaching program that I will be relaunching in September at affordable rates. And today, if you sign up, there's a £15 discount only when you use the code, which is OATH, OATH 1507. So, do pass on that code to others. It's going to be valued up until July the 31st. And then after that, it's the full whack. And that's where my self-worth comes into it, because I know exactly my self-worth. There are also those who are believers. I have a Saturday platform called Giver of Dominion, again, where people have come onto the platform and shared testimonies. Some of them are on the platform today. And, as I said, Dr. Patricia Shaw has got a workbook. She has got her Woman of Excellence program. She's an author of a book called Soul Ties. What was it again, Dr. Patricia, sorry?
Soul Ties, Unchain My Heart.
Unchained My Heart. So everyone who I've sent the link out to, I've sent the Amazon book link in it for you to go and look it up. I don't know what we've reached the end of our platform, number one. Sharon has given me a song. Yes, you're right. One of my favorite, Deborah Cox, How Did You Get Here? Nobody's supposed to be here. I'd sing it today, but I don't want to end the platform abruptly. I just want to say hello to my friend Troy over there in Chicago. He was my Chicago.
No.
No, Windy City. What is it? Chi-Town, the Windy City. What is it? How are you, Troy? You good?
I'm well, thank you. Gaining some knowledge.
Absolutely. Yes. Why not? Why not? That's what it's about. As long as we can fill the gap, I guess, and put people at a great place where they're able to, move from one place to the next in a healthy way, because that's what we're trying to do. Get people to become empowered rather than disempowered. And where we are in the world right now, we've entered into this new world, and what worked the old ways, you cannot be bringing it into this new dimension because it doesn't fit no more. It no longer fits. So that's with attitudes as well. And Stephanie said earlier on, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to keep on getting what you've always gotten. And if you do that in this new season, you will be in a time warp because it will not fit. It's not designed for that place anymore. It worked back then, but not now. So I just want to say thank you to all those in attendance. Let me go through it. Gemini, Pastor Lloyd, Elizabeth, Troy, Brew, Janet, Galaxy S7, Stephanie, Shell, Trisha, Lolisa, Marilyn, Natalie, Galaxy A20E, Sean B, Sharon, Dora, Suzette, and I don't know this unknown person number, but thank you all, and to our lovely guest, Dr. Patricia Shaw, who graced our platform with her golden nuggets of wealth. Is there anyone who would like to say anything before we come to a close of how today may have kind of encapsulated you and food for thought? Brew, you're smiling there. Please. Yeah, come on. Anyone, it's okay. I won't put you on the spot. But I just want to say I've had a lovely day today, mixed emotions, mixed blessings, a lot of passion and animation, as you know, from, young Star, that's what I call her. She's also a great DJ as well, in New York. She's brilliant DJ. But yeah, a great topic. Thank you, Sharon. Theory. How do I pronounce it? I don't want to get it wrong because she's my dictionary. Sharon, can you pronounce that word for me, please, before I make myself look awful? Unmute yourself.
Fiery.
Fiery, yes. All right. I had the little twang there. But
Maybe
yeah.
wrong.
Great topic, and I loved it. Elizabeth, thank you for joining us, and please tell all of your colleagues, family, friends. I'm recording it, so once it's done completing and converting, I'll get it out there. But today has been amazing. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. I'll be joined by the lads next week, hopefully all being well. But one thing you can do for yourself is just stay prayed up. Whatever it is, just stay prayed up. So I bid you a great. Oh, you come off. You got something to say?
No, it's been great. It's been wonderful. Listen, you gotta do this again. You gotta do this topic again. Troy, thanks for logging on. You know, I've been harassing you. And,
right. That's. I was about to say, I thought he was my Chicago respondent. It wasn't. He looks like him.
Else people, man. Thank you guys for coming on to this platform. It's been interesting. It's been wonderful. Hey, listen, you gotta do this again, right? And I gotta get more people on this platform because it was just enlightening, definitely.
Wow,
sure.
That's a very powerful descriptive word. Thank you very much for that, Brew. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming from behind the screen. Troy, let me apologize because you look just like my Chicago correspondent.
Okay.
And I'm like, hold on a minute. And then when I asked you about your sons, it's the same thing. It's so identical. So please forgive me. I weren't trying to chat you up. I was just.
No. Everyone's got a double, right?
Sorry?
Everyone's got a double.
Absolutely. This one, you couldn't have come any, you just look so like him. But yeah, no, today was very enlightening, very powerful, a lot of information, a lot of valuable information. And I know it's food for thought and people will go away and start to recognize. If you didn't have an understanding before, you definitely, there's no way how you came on this platform, you are not leaving the same. That's a fact. So once again, Dr. Shaw, thank you.
Thank you.
For everyone else.
The invitation.
Oh, you're coming back. You're coming back. We're having you back, definitely. For all the comments, thank you so much. They've been well received. And I look forward to seeing those who are joining me on Saturday on the platform for Giver of Dominion Bible Studies. I look forward to seeing you then. If not, next week, 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. All right? God bless. Take care. Have a great rest of the evening.
God bless everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.